Hey, my creative friends. I am Shannon from Shannon's Studio. You can find me at shannonstudio.com when you don't find me here. I was just listening to my husband up there, and I think there was an alarm going off, so that's why I was just distracted for a moment there. We talk about creative life tips, so things that will help our creative life. Let's see, just one of my daughters texted me. So today, praying for the people in Tennessee and the tornado they had, and how that will change their lives, and hoping for peace in their lives while they go through this transition, and change and tragedy. So thought about that today. I'm in Sweden, so but I live in a tornado area. I live in the U.S. I usually live in Missouri, and so that's always a thing during this season. When I lived in California, it was earthquakes, and when we lived in Provo, Utah, the only thing really there, I think, was a flood. We were in the flood plain if the dam broke. I can't really think of anything that was really there, but lived through several earthquakes and stuff. So, the natural disasters, obviously we don't control, but we're always at their mercy. So I'm feeling for those people in Tennessee today. Let's see, today I was off. I was off because I finished my window fabric collection first go round in submitting it. I have not heard back from them. I probably won't hear for a few more days, but I'll kind of let you know what they say. But today I went to lunch with some gals, and rainy all day. And I walk in it, and so it was kind of like got rained on a little bit today. And but we went to the Modern Museum here in Stockholm and had lunch there at their restaurant. Hey Joan. Had lunch at their restaurant, and it was just like a massive wall of windows. It was wonderful. And you look out, and they're right on one of the little. They're right on the water, and so you look out and you see. I saw their museum, Nordiska Museum, across the way, and all the ships and boats, and so it's just picturesque. I was just like, I just sat there. I'm just like, I can't believe I'm sitting somewhere so picturesque having lunch. And hey Salman. So we did that today. It was good to catch up because I haven't seen them for about a month and a half. We all got busy at the same time and going places and doing things, and so we haven't seen each other, so it was fun. And I just got off class with Jennifer Allwood, and it's a business class talking about the 7, she talks about, particularly in this class, 7 revenue streams for your business. And I am upping my game for that this year. And so it's just exciting. It's exciting because she does question and answers, and you have the chat by everybody in the group, and then she pulls up different people who have questions, and they talk about their personal business, and she answers questions, and so you get kind of excited about what's going on, and you get resources. And I pulled up a resource and did a little mock-up of one of the things. It was just like, I'm so excited. Did this mock-up with my art on this box, and I'm just like, oh, this is so... I just feel so energized when coming out of this class and excited about my business, and I have some plans coming up. I had to finish my fabric collection before I could move on to the other plan making and stuff. And so in the next few months or next couple months, I'll have several announcements to make, and I'm kind of just gonna ramp up the business. That's what I'm gonna do. And so I'm super energized by it. And it's so nice to find something, that you just, your gut feels good about, that just kind of lights you up when you're doing it. Because when you're doing a business like this and you're doing it by yourself, you're just the solo person doing it, there's a lot to consider. There's a lot on your shoulders. There's a lot to do. And so if you can find the sweet spot that kind of just really sings to you and you're excited to do the work, at least the work that you, the work that's the fun part of the work, not, then it makes the other part of the work that you have to do in a business just really, you're just pushing through it, and it just makes it, the whole thing is something you love to do. The business is something you love to do. So I am super excited. I keep saying the same I am about the plans that I have. And so I am it for a little bit in the planning stage, kind of letting the ideas percolate so that I make sure I've thought this through. I'm not overextending myself, because us creatives, sometimes we get these plans and they're like grandiose. Maybe not you, but I do. And I get this grandiose plan, so I have to stop and think, is it sustainable? That's one of the things that I'm looking at in this creative business part of things, is making sure it's going to be something I can sustain long term. And so you kind of like these videos every night. I did not know I could do this. So when I first started, I just jumped on and didn't really tell anybody I was doing it. And I didn't even feel secure enough that I was going to be able to do it for the year until a few months in. And then it's like, oh, okay, I think I still can do this. Hey, Rose. So you'll be hearing about plans for what I have in the business, and I will be asking your opinion and your help in kind of going through that process. But for tonight, let's see on my list. For tonight, I have just one simple tip that I've been using, and it's really helped me move forward, to keep moving forward steadily. So the thing is timers. It's just a simple thing, timers. And I've used them a lot in the past, periodically, but I'm using them on a regular basis. I didn't use them last week at all because everything was fabric collection, making the fabric collection. But, I've been using them because sometimes I'll look something up online, or I have to answer an email. And then I get sucked into a black hole, because when I open up my email, I'm like, oh, there's like 5 other emails. And what does that say? And what does that say? Oh, and it has a link here. So I go look at the link there. And I just am like, into this like little trail of distraction. Or, or I get online and it's like, oh, I think of this, I think of that. So the timer helps focus me. Like if I'm going to look something up, I set the timer right next to me for 15 minutes. I have 15 minutes to look up and find this answer. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, you only have 15 minutes and then you got to move on. So it makes me stay focused. But even if I don't stay focused, if I do, end up somewhere else, the timer goes off in 15 minutes and it's like, oh, I need to do that. I was supposed to be doing that. So it breaks the pattern, even though I got distracted. So in that breaking of the pattern, I come around in 15 minutes instead of 2 hours later. So it's really been very helpful to just set that timer when I'm moving, especially in moving from project to project. And you can use this in all kinds of things. So I use a timer on my phone. I use the regular alarms on my phone. You can name them, like on my own iPhone, I can name what they are. So when we had a new schedule for Joseph, when he started school, it was like I had at this time, 7 a.m., check that he has his book bag. And 7:10, check that he's made his snack and water bottle. And just, going through that list, and it would go off every day. And it went that way for a couple months. And then now we're in the routine, and so it's not... So we've got it down, but in the beginning it was helpful so that we didn't get on or we get going and then it's like, oh, we didn't have your things. So, we use them for school things. Then I also have them for goals of mine. Like one of my goals is to increase my financial understanding of, different financial aspects. I mean, I know the basics, don't spend more than you have, save, stuff like that. So I know some basics, but I want to know more. But I don't want to spend like massive amounts of time. It's something that is a gap in my education of running a business and in my life. So what I did is set a timer. So every time after I drop Joseph off, I have about 10 minutes where I have to sit, 10 to 15 minutes where I sit at the train waiting for the train. And before I was just like scrolling through Facebook or looking whatever. But I decided, okay, I'll set a timer for 8:30, and then it goes off, and then it says study something financial podcast, and I've been listening, reading a book. So all of a sudden, that 15 minutes, because I'm using a timer, isn't dead time. It's useful time. So that's one of the ones I have. What's another one I have on my phone? I also have one like get ready for bed, because I can stay up all night on successive nights, and so I have to tell myself, no, it's bedtime. So bedtime also, like a do your live videos in 30 minutes. So I set a timer for this. I make sure, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm set. Then and sometimes I use the timer. So if I have to go somewhere, because what happens when we're being creative, we often get in that creative zone, and just time just flies, and you're so caught up and focused on what you're doing, you lose track of the other things you have to do. So a lot of times I'll set my timer, go pick up Joseph, leave now, or I will, say, there's a school program today, go to that. So the idea of using timers and use them for all kinds of things. I often will do them when I cook, because I like like I'm cooking and I'm doing something else. So it's just like timers have really been a big thing, and it's such big results out of such a little tiny thing. And so I would suggest you look at ways in your life, especially when you're busy and things like that, things even if it's to call somebody, call a friend, or look up, set a timer, look up this thing, or so that you schedule things in for yourself. And then the timers have repeats. So there's been several times where I say, look up this, and I don't get to it. So I put it on repeat to begin with at the very beginning. And then if I get it done, then I check it off, and I turn it off, and then I'm done. So timers, that's the big little tip for today, to use timers. Anybody else use timers? Put it in how you use them in the comments. Or a thought that you think, after hearing this, to think, oh, I would use a timer for this. And then so tell us what you might use the timer for, because then it might spark an idea that we're not using them for, or I'm not using them for. Then it was like, oh, I could use it for that. I didn't think about that. Sometimes we just need to share ideas and help each other out, because we can't have all the thoughts. We don't have all the thoughts by ourselves. So we're sharing ideas on how to make certain things happen and make our time more productive. So that is the tip for tonight. Anything else? Let me look at my list. No, timers. That was the tip. So remember, you have a creative heartbeat, so listen for it, and I will be back tomorrow. Hey, Trisha, I thought you must have landed, or you must be in the airport. So that's it for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.